Hello, good evening and welcome, ladies and gentlemen. In fact, it's good morning, good afternoon, or good evening because we have panelists and guests from other parts of the world. So, a warm welcome to all of you to the Business and Banking Dialogue, your one show which gives you the best of speakers who are proven industry experts. Today, we have a panel discussion on exploring the next frontiers in India-UK relationship. You all must have got an invite on that. I'm KK, your moderator in this panel discussion. This show is 147th since we started last year during the start of the pandemic. A big thanks to you who are live, who are across EPS channels and social media channels of YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitter. Our panelists, ladies and gentlemen, are renowned personalities in India-UK relationship, the economies, and the policies that govern the two countries. My first, you will be able to see the introduction of our panelists. You'll see in a short time. Let me introduce you the first panel member, Lord Rami Ranger. Is a British businessman and the founder of Sunmark, an international marketing and distribution company. He is also chairman and managing director of Iyer and Land Forwarding Limited. He was nominated for a life peerage and a seat in the House of Lords in Prime Minister Theresa May's resignation honors. He was created Baron Ranger of Mayfair in the city of Westminster in October 2011. My next panelist is Mr. Virendra Sharma. You'll see the slide in a minute, ladies and gentlemen. He's a British Labour Party politician. He has been the Member of Parliament MP for Ealing Southall since winning the seat at a by-election in 2007. As the Indo-UK APBG chairman, he has led UK delegation and has had meetings with our own Prime Minister Narendra Modi. You can see his profile right in front of you. Mr. Virendra Sharma, a very senior person, MP from UK. Good to have you, Mr. Sharma and Mr. Rami Ranger. We have Mr. Chandru Iyer as the next panelist. Mr. Chandru Iyer is the head of business development in Grant Thornton, UK. You will see his profile. There you go. The smiling Mr. Chandru Iyer, head of business development, South Asia, Grant Thornton, LLP, UK. He is a cross-border international business development specialist and has helped several corporates from UK, Finland, and Australia enter the Indian market. He has also worked in other companies, and you can see his profile right in front of you. He's also worked with the Australian Trade Commission. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Lord Rami Ranger, Mr. Virendra Sharma, and Mr. Chandru Iyer. Welcome to you all the three of you. Welcome to the show. Ladies and gentlemen, India and UK are bound by strong ties of history and culture. India's multifaceted bilateral relationship with the UK intensified with its upgradation to a strategic partnership in 2004. Before I start the dialogue with the three panelists, let's hear from them their opening remarks on India-UK relationship. Could I request Lord Rami Ranger to open the dialogue?
Thank you very much for inviting me, and I'm grateful to Vivekanand Sangle for his invitation, and I'm honored to be joining this panel with my senior Mr. Virender Sharma MP, who has done a great deal, and he is continued to do a lot more for UK-India relationship. And I'm also glad to be with Chandru Iyer and share my thoughts with you. Very simply, friendship and relationship develop when we share each other's values. It's all
Yes.
about values. If you're a studious student, you would like to mix with those kind of students. And if you
Yes.
are a sportsman, you would like to mix with people. So India and UK are both secular democratic country with rule of law at the heart of their governance. Unlike
Yes.
China, India does not work to undermine British interest. We don't have opposite ideologies. As you know, our people are not suppressed. We have full freedom. The multi-party system in India, as it is in the United Kingdom. We do not suppress our people. Human rights are enshrined in the Constitution. Everyone has a right to worship, right to form political parties or whatever. But as you can see in China, what is happening to the Uyghur Muslim, that speaks volumes about a country. And if you want to see what kind of country you want to deal with, you have to see how they treat their own citizens. And that speaks volumes about a country where people are persecuted just because of their beliefs. And India is a stable democracy. As you know, we never had a coup right from the day one. Army stays in barracks and politicians do the politics. And as a result, there is no fear of any upheaval like the one we just seen in Myanmar, where people,
Yes.
the army can just come in and throw away democratically elected country. We
Yeah.
have as you rightly mentioned, we have over 2 centuries of common history, and therefore, as you can remember, in both the great wars, Indians came to defend king and empire and paid supreme sacrifices for world's freedom. Not only that, we also came back to rebuild Britain after a devastating war. Indians worked in the factories, they worked in education, transport, hospitals, and you put the country back on its feet. And on top of that, uh, as you can see, we've been here. Our relationships are very, very closely interwoven. There are so many people who have connection with India. Their grandfather, father were born in India. Uh, therefore, it is a natural friendship. It's a win-win situation between the two countries because India provides a market, the huge market. These days, you need a scale of production. As we have seen with COVID vaccination, India provided a scale of production in India. India provides not only a very big market itself, there's a huge market, India, 1.4 billion people, but then you also have an export potential because you can produce product relatively economically in India, and then you can export to developing country who cannot afford European or American product. As you know, India and UK are investing heavily in each other's country. Already, India is number second investor in UK. The biggest industries like Jaguar Rovers are owned by Indian companies. The wealthiest man in UK is an Indian. Hinduja groups are also investing huge. And British companies are ahead in terms of organizational skill and innovation technology. So by linking with one another, we can really become a meaningful force. Because just for example, I just said about COVID, the defense industry in United Kingdom is shrinking. But on the other hand, India is the largest buyer of defense equipment because of the two hostile neighbor. So by linking with the Indian defense industry, the British industry can grow. It can gain a huge market in India, and then it can also export. And you in Britain can export low-tech product, repetitive, which is a labor-intensive product to India, and then they can really keep their cost down. And finally, I would like to say the partnership between India and UK will be equivalent to having a free trade agreement with 10 countries, because India is number 4 and Britain is number 5th economies. They're huge economies. They're not small
Yes.
economies. So by linking with British Indian company, because Indian companies are India growth is 6 to 7%, whereas Europe is now growing. So therefore, by linking up with the Indian company, British company can get out of this sluggish growth. So I see this is a natural partnership. It's a win-win partnership, and you can imagine that we have got so much common. We have grown up using British products, Scotch whiskey, biscuit, chocolate, designer clothes. They are no stranger to us. British iconic brands are there. So therefore, Indians are now not those of the 30, 40 years ago. Indians now are very advanced. Most of the blue chip companies are run by Indians, and that just shows that we are now progressing with the speed of lightning. And Britain, as a small country, by linking with a giant India, can become a huge force in the world. So I think I'm very optimistic. It is a necessity not a choice between the two countries to link up with one another, because they can gain a great deal. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Virender Sharma, can I have a brief, some words from you, the opening remark from the dialogue?
Thank you very much, and good morning from Britain. And I feel so proud to be joining my dear friend Rami Ranger, Lord Rami Ranger, I should be saying, and Chandru Iyer from UK, and also KK and your whole team.
Thank you.
It's a great honor and a privilege to be here. I must declare that I'm the only one on the panelists who have only political life behind me, rather than any other avenue to work on that. I'd like to thank EPS and its highly informative business and banking dialogue series, which has completed over 100 sessions this year. Your work in promoting trade between UK and India is truly inspirational, and I thank you for advancing a cause which is so close to my heart. We here today, standing in the 21st century, are part of the Indian century. The next 100 years will be a period where Indian power and influence will have the ability to shape the world. A nation united in defense of ideas of secularism, toleration, progressivism, and democracy will define these years. India cannot look inwards today. It cannot afford to, and it should not want to.
Yes.
For hundreds of years, Britain and India have been partners in one form or another. Frankly, for India, that was not a healthy relationship for a long time. But today, I like to think we stand together as allies and friends. People with a lot of shared history, much shared language, and a shared legal heritage and political basis. I'm delighted to chair the Indo-British All-Party Parliamentary Group in our parliament in Britain, to be a custodian of that relationship. Our APPG takes a leading role in pushing closer diplomatic and economic ties between the UK and India. 2 weeks ago, I held a roundtable discussion on artificial intelligence with MPs and lords, as well as trade and technology experts, where we explored AI's potential to greatly enhance the bilateral relationship between the UK and India. As a new frontier, I believe that AI can transform the current business and trade environment, bringing in a new golden age of cooperation between the UK and India. It can help both our countries to work towards a freer, fairer, and greener world. Though, of course, we both must be ready to seize the immense opportunities we have before us. As a British Indian, KK, born in India, but made in Britain, I could not be prouder of my dual heritage. Together with countries make up the best of the world. Tradition and history with skills and knowledge technical know-how, and a second-to-none service sector. The power that exists in closer and deeper ties between both countries is boundless. I want to see that recognized. I want to see both countries make the most of that connection and invest in bringing us together for a truly equal partnership. The 21st century is an opportunity and a hope, an opportunity for India to embrace a new and wider role in the world, an opportunity for Britain to recognize its modern place and come to terms with the loss of empire. With vision and commitment, we can see years dominated by a powerhouse relationship between modern India and modern Britain. For the progressives around the world, we have an opportunity today to found a progressive century, a century founded on updated relationships and modern ideas, the Indian century. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Chandru, quickly, can you put in a brief word?
Absolutely, absolutely. No, thank you, KK and team EPS, and along with Vivekanand for having me here. It's always a tough act to follow when I'm coming behind Mr. Sharma and Lord Ranger, who have so very eloquently put the context to the whole discussion. My only two penny thoughts on this particular aspect would be to say that I always believe that trade and investment are very cyclic in nature. So when you do a lot of trade, investment follows, and that is what is something that we are seeing quite evidently happening between India and the UK. Lord Ranger and Mr. Sharma have been in the UK for a very long time. I've been here for just over 12 years. But I think what I have seen over the last 12 years kind of echoes what has been happening for a long time in terms of the relationship between the two countries. I always like to say it, and it's always a cliched term, but I like to say that there are a lot of seas that connect India and the UK. So of course, we talk about sea for commerce, we talk about sea for cricket, we talk about sea for curry, we talk about sea for cinema, and of course, sea for Commonwealth, which connects India and the UK. So I'll probably stop there in terms of saying that the relationship is built on the strong foundation of the seas that connects the two countries.
Very well said. Thank you, Fine. Thank you very much for this wonderful opening remark. So my first dialogue question goes to Mr. Virendra Sharma. Sir, there is this anticipated visit of the Prime Minister, Mr. Boris Johnson. He and the Indian Prime Minister have shared a vision for a sustainable future for the global community. He also looks up to discuss such crucial issues along with other business ties in his upcoming April visit to India. What, according to you, is the agenda, and what can we derive out of this meeting? Mr. Virendra Sharma.
Thank you, KK. I'm on the opposition benches from my Prime Minister in Britain.
Yes.
But I always admire their courage and commitment to India. Before Boris Johnson, David Cameron as the Prime Minister, then now the present Prime Minister has given a very clear picture on a relationship between India and Britain. I think that the most important role the diaspora is playing in Britain to encourage the Prime Minister to build those relationships with India on trade, culture, both. It's not only one trade business only, that you only make money and run away from there. That is not the 21st century. It is working together. And that's why Prime Minister of India is also globally trying to, I won't use the term influencing the world economy or the general makeup of the world, but certainly genuinely believing that India have a major role to play. So these two powers, like Rami Ranger have said earlier on, that we have the similar values, which are based on democracy, secularism, equality, education for all, health, good health for all, employment for all. These are the commitments that both countries have, and we are the largest democracies in the world. So I look forward that will be the agenda, and how best we can not only build a relationship between India and Britain, as Mr. Modi said, the bridge of the diaspora is playing, but certainly it's the international role that those two powers can play to bring, eliminate poverty and bring equality for all.
Yes, one area, specific area, you feel we can, both the countries can do well. Any thoughts on that?
I mean, to bring peace, equality, employment for all, making sure that there's a healthy world. There's no one agenda. These two big powers have to work on a broader agenda. And one is the most important, which at present we see it, the role of the diaspora, bringing the two countries together for the progressiveness for the future.
Okay, all right, that's very, very well, sir. Thank you so much. Sir, Lord Rami Ranger, the question is, the two large economies in the world, India and the UK, will focus on perhaps creating jobs in the next decade and build, a sustainable way. That's what even Sharma said so. Although both countries are getting closer, especially after the Brexit and coronavirus, what are some of the key building blocks of the relationship that we will need to cement for a long-term relationship? Mr.
KK, first of all, I like to tell Chandru that Mr. Sharma, Virender Sharma, and I have been here clearing the mind for you to come. So all the danger was eliminated so that you can now come. You have no idea what Mr. Sharma and I struggle to change Britain politically, economically, so many things we had to do to make
Absolutely,
sure.
Sir. Really appreciate that.
Sure.
Really appreciate that. Absolutely.
There was a time when they couldn't stand curry. Now they can't get enough of it. That's how far we have changed the natives. So their attitude is not totally changed. We came, we worked hard, we demonstrated that we are a positive force. And there was a time they wouldn't employ us. Now they are looking for Indian to be employed. And the banks, they used to refuse to give us loans. Now they're queuing to give us loans. That demonstrates our values, Indian values, which have stood the test of time. So anyway, coming back to the relationship between India and UK, KK, as somebody who started a business with just £2 capital from a shed, and now it's in 130 countries and has won an unprecedented 5 consecutive Queen's Award for Enterprise in International Trade. No other British company has that accolade. Demonstrate how important it is to have strategic alliances with people. In order to grow, you either have to merge with somebody or acquire a company to grow big. But if you can't merge or acquire, as I could not merge with anybody with £2 or I couldn't acquire, so I was left to forge strategic alliance with like-minded people who share my ideas and vision to grow my strength in the market. And this is how we entered so many countries simultaneously by linking up with already established distribution channels of our strategic partners. So UK on its own cannot have the punch, but with India, it will have the punch it needs to achieve the desired result. Because, strategic alliances you've seen, they are very, very important because, if I sing my praises, you will not respect. But if somebody else endorse what I say, that will have double the value. So UK, India talking together on an international matters will carry a lot more weight than India talking alone or Britain talking alone, because so that reinforces our philosophy and ideas when we support each other's approach to the modern world we are. And coming back to the cooperation between UK and India, we are going to cooperate on every level, whether it's a pharmaceutical, whether it is industries, defense, whether it's IT, whether it's a cinema, because already a lot of British films are now processed in Bombay. Even Hollywood films are technically supported in India. So India is in a position to give the world everything they need at a very, very competitive price. In other words, the linking with India, the Western companies can even avoid becoming bankrupt because you are competing with China. And you know, Chinese play dirty, they subsidize their production, they also keep their currency very low. So therefore, the only way the West can survive is to have a strategic alliance with a country like India, who can give them edge over China with the economy and the savings they can make by having Indian highly motivated staff. As you know, they're very, very motivated staff because of the competition for jobs makes us very, very competitive, very loyal, and very hardworking. So it's a win-win situation when these two countries have a free trade. I tell you one more thing: the free trade from United Kingdom is on the card. A recent visit by Liz Truss, the Secretary of State for International Business, with Piyush Goyal, our Indian minister, has proved to be a very, very fruitful meeting, and that we're going to pave the way for further cooperation between the countries. You know, from roads, rails, any industry, UK, India can play a very, very important role. Indian companies can move to the next level instantly, and British companies can get a market. I give you an example of JCB, the company which makes earth-moving equipment. They have moved their production to India. They not only got a huge market, look at the construction taking place in India, and they have actually survived any recession or COVID or other because of the linking up with India. They are already supplying a lot of stuff in Indian market, but they are also exporting to 70, 80 countries from India because their products become more competitively priced for the developing countries, which cannot afford, Caterpillar or American expensive stuff. So therefore, it is now a survival for the countries, small country like United Kingdom, to live. We're a trading nation. If we don't trade, we don't exist. I mean, we can't be depending on fishing. So trading is in the nature, and we have to trade. And this after Brexit, we have already got free trade agreement with 68 countries, and India will be the price cow. It will be the mother of all free trade agreement because of the size of the market and the economy. So I'm very optimistic. It is going to happen. And with Mr. Modi's visit is a very, very significant, because and the Prime Minister is going at a time when there is COVID pandemic. He's got a lot of issues at home, but still he's going because he attaches so much importance to the relationship. The future belongs to UK, India together, working as partners.
Thank you, sir. Chandru, Lord talked about the FTA. So the India and UK are committed to an enhanced trade partnership that is again demonstrated by the panelists, and are developing a roadmap to a free trade agreement. There is an ambitious target of £100 billion by 2030. What are the key ingredients that will turn this into a reality, Chandru?
The visit of the Secretary of State to India early this year set the stage for the enhanced trade partnership to be discussed, which is probably going to be signed when the Prime Minister is in India next month, and lays the foundation for the free trade agreement. And there has always been this discussion about how the numbers between the two countries in terms of business together is currently, depending on what numbers you look at, is between around 25 billion and 30 billion pounds at the moment. But the potential to do is so much more. And we always talk about the shared heritage and the common connects and a lot of the reasons that connects the two countries together. But I think the true potential has not been reached. And that's where, if you look at the true potential, and in terms of doing things right, then there is nothing to stop the two countries from really not just reaching the 100 billion mark, but even reaching it. And I would say that not just look at 2030, but 2030 is still 9 years away. I would say that if you just take the example of the Oxford AstraZeneca serum as a collaboration, as an example, that's just one example. But if you just look
Yeah.
at that, the way it has set the tone in terms of innovation and R&D that has come into the play, that's one of the cornerstones of the relationship between the two countries, I would say. And I would be really, really surprised if we take time till 2030 to reach that 100 billion mark. Probably we would be doing it a lot earlier than that. Um, Technology is a sector that plays a major role in making this happen. So I like to refer to the Grant Thornton CII report that we do every year. The 8th edition is coming out this year, next month, and it tracks Indian investments coming to the UK. Means nobody ever did this report till Grant Thornton decided to do it with CII in 2014, and we see the trends that are emerging. So the report that came out last year, if you just look at the numbers, they're sheer mind-boggling numbers. Like we said, okay, Indian investments, how much will that be? Like Indian investment, there are more than 900 companies, Indian companies in the UK of significant size, generating total revenues in excess of $40 billion, 40 billion pounds, paying corporation tax, almost £500 million worth of corporation tax, employing more than 125,000 people. And if we are not taking the branches of the Indian companies into consideration, if you take the branches into consideration, those numbers are touching up to 200,000. So you see, those are the kind of specific numbers that come into discussion when you look at the Indian investments coming to the UK. And that's going to be a cornerstone of this free trade agreement that is being discussed about. At the same time, British investments coming into India, I mean, like, again, those are mind-boggling numbers. And the first time our colleagues at Grant Thornton India did this report, which launched in February along with CII, and that talks about numbers on the other side. Lord Ranger talked about JCB as an example, but one of our surveys that found out that the fastest growing British company in India last year was Dyson. And Dyson is a household name here in the UK, but the way Dyson is growing and expanding in India is a fantastic story to talk about. So a lot of the unknown names that will come into the forefront. There will be a lot of other sectors that we talked about. We talk a lot about renewable energy. You'll see a lot happening in that space. Pharmaceutical and healthcare, there'll be a lot of toing and froing in terms of technology sharing and technology advancement between the two countries. And of course, retail, there is always a need for Alfonso mangoes in the UK. There is always a need for Scotch whiskey in India, and all that will happen. And sometimes we don't take those sectors into importance. But again, the F&B sector, if you look at it, and Sunmark is at the core of it. Some of the stuff that Lord Ranger's team does in that sector is amazing, and some of the brand names that have become global names. And again, there's a lot of scope and potential in terms of taking those British brands into India, and likewise introducing Indian brands into the UK. I mean, like, Patanjali as an example. Like, I think there's the scope and potential for a brand like Patanjali in the UK is enormous, and Dabur and others are already household names in the UK. So I can go on and on and on. There are a lot of cornerstone sectors and the potential areas of collaboration, which just gives me that confidence and optimism that 100 billion number is something that we will go through very quickly if we
Excellent.
do it, and there is a political will to do it.
Yes, excellent. Positive note about 100 billion, not by 2030, but much earlier, as per what Chandru said. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is interesting. We had a good opening remark. We had a round of questions. You have any questions to ask the panelists, please feel free to do so. Put it in the Q&A, and we will try to get your questions across to the panelists. If you want to ask a question directly on the subject, then you could do that also. Raise your hand, and we will try to get you across to ask the question. May I request Mr. Virendra Sharma to tell us what will be the impact of the UK-EU trade deal on the India-UK trade relationships? Mr. Sharma?
The way person like myself in political sectors looking, it is unfortunate that Britain has come out of EU, and that is a setback, because that time it was big powers like India, EU, big power in Europe working together to bring in Asia and Europe together to build the economic world on a new stage. I feel it that now we are out of EU. There's a opportunities to go direct to other nations to do the deal or the trade. That is the only plus point in the Commonwealth I could take it. It's a relationship. I don't think it will make huge difference. Britain is also still keen and will carry on working with Europe. And India and Britain working together with Europe will enhance the economic position of both countries and also the influence. We need to look at that, as Lord Rami Ranger has indicated, China's role. China's negative role will only be confronted by India and Britain and Europe together rather than individual. So I think that with that kind of relationship, I see the positive of future in future. I don't see any negativity in it. Maybe it's, in the short term, there may be a little loss, but eventually it will be a stronger Europe and stronger Asia working together to lead the rest of the world.
Thank you. So, like I said, in our dialogue show, we do ask participants can ask questions, and so let me take one or two questions coming up. Question by Subrata Ghosh. I wish to know how SME sector in India can take benefits of the UK experience, one of the sectors in India which have been badly hit by the COVID, and how can India promote medical tourism among British? Chandru, you would like to take that?
Okay. The first part of the question is about UK SME, Indian SMEs looking at opportunities in India. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, absolutely. I think what we have seen over the last 2 or 3 decades is all the big Indian boys have already come to the UK, set up their shop, set up big entities, and done a lot of business. But I am a firm believer that the trends that we have seen over the last 10 years is about not just those big boys and not just the Tatas and the household names that have come and done well in the UK. But there are a lot of SME stories that have come and made UK their international headquarters or European headquarters and done really, really well here. And one of the key reasons for that is the openness with which UK welcomes foreign businesses, despite irrespective of the size or stature. So just to give you as an example, it's very easy to set up a company. Means I can set up an incorporation limited company for an SME, Indian SME in a day. It's as simple as that. And there is a lot of avenues available in terms of the support from the British government. So the Department for International Trade, which is the UK government's international trade body, they have got a big network in India. They're present in almost more than 10 cities in India, and their team is on hand to help and support Indian SMEs with their plans and aspirations to come and invest in the UK. And when they land in the UK, there is a lot of handholding and support that is available. Again, DIT has a more countrywide role, but even if you look at from a regional perspective, so London, for example, has got an agency called London and Partners, who are the Mayor of London's investment agency. There is a Manchester India partnership if you want to look at opportunities in Manchester. If you want to look at opportunities West Midlands, you've got West Midlands India partnership. There is a Scottish Development Agency in Scotland. There is International Business Wales if you want to go to Wales. So there is a lot of support available on the ground. And these guys also have got an office in India. So a lot of information is available, a lot of handholding support is available. So one of the things that SMEs always think about is that, you know what, I don't want to put all my apples in one basket, and I want to try out a new market with minimal effort and impact. And this is something that these organizations can help and handhold. And of course, there are advisory firms like us, Grant Thornton and the likes of them, who are always there to help and support SME businesses with their UK aspirations. So I would say that there is a lot of support available on the ground to make this happen from an SME standpoint.
Yeah, the second part was how can India promote medical tourism among British?
Again, medical tourism as a sector has always been there in the UK. One of the challenges India has at present is that medical tourism destinations, if you look at it, India used to be quite at the forefront, but now we've got competition coming in from some of the Eastern European countries. And I was hearing that even Turkey offers some kind of medical tourism packages. So I'm saying that the only deterrent there is the distance at this point of time. It's a 9-hour flight compared to maybe a 4 flight or a 5-hour flight. But the quality of medical services offered in India is absolutely world class. The way things have changed now. So there is a lot of potential in that area. It's about how you make things happen. And I think NHS, I would say probably Lord Ranger and Mr. Sharma can add a bit more on that, but NHS is also quite open to look at this whole idea of medical tourism. And because if there are big waiting lists that are there in the UK, how can we make have a process in place by which medical services can be available for the needy? So medical tourism could be a way out of that. So I'll probably stop there, and I don't know if Mr. Sharma has anything to say on that.
But do you want me to say, KK?
Yeah, just briefly, if you can say.
Yeah. As Chandru Iyer said earlier, that the NHS in Britain is very keen to work wherever it is possible. And definitely the positive state is India. India has established its reputation as one of the high standard medical professionalism from there. And also the diaspora, I must make it clear here, diaspora plays a major part. And diaspora in Britain is the actual ambassador of India's promotion in Britain, especially. They can kill. That's where it's important to keep the diaspora happy and make sure that diaspora people first start trusting the services India is given. So that's where little still doubt of the in the trust point, whether they are genuinely when the people come and share many things. The other is the SMEs. Britain has opened its doors. You bring the money, as Mr. Iyer said, that you can set up your own company, invest the money. But again, because diaspora, like people like Rami Ranger, has established the credibility of the Indian businesses. And the people of Britain, if there's an Indian run shop or the business, they take it more positively than any other communities in the world. So that's where it is. We have that plus point where our hard work in the past contributed for the future. And that's why though jokingly, Rami said to Mr. Iyer that we open the doors for you people who are the younger and the future of our communities and the nation. But it is true that it took us 50 years. I mean, I'm in British politics for over 45 years. Actively, I have, as I was jokingly saying, but it is true that I have done nothing else other than playing politics in the country, positive politics, not negative politics, not for the position. When Rami started and when I started, we never have any role models. Now people can see Rami sitting in the House of Lords, me in the Parliament, they can say it. They can get inspiration from there that yes, these people, if they're coming from India, they can achieve these goals. So that credibility establishment has the positive and plus points for the Indian investors into Britain, and the British investors to India also give that if these people can contribute so effectively here, if we go to them and how best they can support us there. So that mutual respect and the trust with each other has brought two nations together. And I see that contributions from these two nations will be the leaders in the future.
Okay, thank you.
I will echo Virender Sharma ji's sentiment because you have to, as you know, Chandru, in business people headhunt in politics, people actually undermine others to surge ahead. They never give opportunity. For people like Virender ji to come into politics, need tenacity, need courage, need vision. I mean, he's my senior. I've seen him, doing public service all his life. Although he belonged to the opposition party, but he knows the respect I have for him. I'm ready to, because you know what unites us, India. India is a much bigger cause than political parties. So that is what he says today, because today you can see there are 4 cabinet ministers in the government, the finance secretary, the home secretary, and the business secretary. And on top of that, we have the attorney general from India, and there's quite a few people in House of Lords, because we have become decision maker now. We're influencing. And you came to the national health, the medical tourism. I will give them one example. As Sharmaji said, the Indian diaspora who's working in the NHS has become a great ambassador for the medical industry, because the people have worked with the Indian doctors and nurses and so many professionals in medical, and they are used to us. But that is not the criteria that you will win contracts or you'll win businesses. For a business, I can tell you from my point of view, even though we can have a free trade agreement with anyone, even though we had a free trade, we were part of the EU, that does not guarantee that a German will buy British product because we are part of the EU. They will only buy those products which are competitively priced and they are at the cutting edge of technology, or they are more sophisticated. They represent value for money. Even the British will not buy British if they think they're not getting a good value for their money. So there is no loyalty. Indians will not buy Indian product if they think they can buy Sri Lankan product better and cheaper. So therefore, in order for you to succeed, you have to be the best among the rest. You have to add some value. You have to bring something, some benefit to the table. Yes, people should feel that I am better off doing business with these guys, because you make profit while buying. If your buying is wrong, the whole thing is wrong. I mean, I compete with the best in Britain, best in Germany, Japan. We're in 130 countries. By bringing the quality, price, and the service, there are 3 things we have to give. Why should people? I don't have a divine right that people will buy my product. They will only buy my product if they think they're better off. So therefore, it is very, very important that Indian companies must strive to be the best among the rest. Perfectionist, mediocrity will get you by, but you will not shine. Yes, excellence endures long after everything else is forgotten. If I ask Chandru how much he pays for his shirt, he will not remember how much he paid for shirt, but he knows it's a great shirt. Every time he wears, he looks smart. So people remember the quality. They don't remember how much they paid. For example, you go to a nice restaurant, Haldiram is another example, doing very well in the United Kingdom because of the quality and the taste. There are so many products like Haldiram can offer, but because they maintain quality. So therefore, quality is all the time.
Yes.
And for Indian company, I would recommend, as I started, very humble background, I started to work with local commanders in different countries. Working, it's so easy today through the internet. You can go and Google, somebody in the IT industry in France or Japan or everything. But I will also recommend here that all that glitter is not gold. You should start with developing countries, Africa, Middle East, Caribbean, those kind of countries. They do need you, but there's no point feeding already a man who has been overfed. Yes. So therefore, I started working with those countries first, becoming strong, and then come back to United Kingdom, where there's a lot more competition and a lot more stronger players in the field. So therefore, please look to Africa. Africa is growing very, very fast. It's got everything, and they will value your product and services much more than somebody in the West who has got an abundance of suppliers. So, as I say, all that glitter is not gold. So look, there's a proverb where there's a muck, there's a brass. You can find gold in rubbish sometimes. So therefore, that is my advice. Let's start step by step. Look for people on the internet and go to trade shows, exhibitions. You will find a lot of people who come to grow their businesses, to find product and services which they can add on to their portfolio. There are very few time wasters there. You will find potential distributor, or you will find a potential partner to collaborate with. So, as I said, have a step-by-step approach, and you will never fail. Because if you're willing to work more than the guy next door, like we did when we came to this country, they work 5 days, we work 6 days. They work 6 days, we work 7 days. They work 8 hours, we work 10 hours. Yes, I remember when I had a corner shop, I used to start 6 o'clock in the morning, and my competitor used to come at 9 o'clock. By the time he came at 9 o'clock, I had done 30% of the business. And he will from 9 to 5, he go, and I will remain open till 8 o'clock. So the other 30% business was done from time he closed 5 o'clock till 8 o'clock. So 60% of business was already gone before he opened his door. And I was competing with the rest of the 40%. So therefore, whatever the Indian community has achieved in this country was not given on a plate, not made easy for us.
Yeah, absolutely.
With a lot of bigotry, prejudice, and a lot of racism. But again, we remain positive in a negative system to tell you the story today, that our values, Indian values, loyalty, hard work, believing in God, having a God-fearing attitude, empathy for others, self-respect, work ethics, commitment, all these qualities which we inherit right from the day one from our parents, have brought us the success we are enjoying today.
Fantastic. Very good. Very positive.
Can I just add here, if you don't mind?
Go ahead, sir.
Time permits. I myself cannot claim to be running a corner shop. I was a bus conductor to coming to the parliament. So that's the difference we both have.
Yes.
One thing which is I have noticed while in my role as a member of the International Development Committee, which we also deal with Africa and other countries, what the African nations believe now, that role of India in Africa with British support, or they working together, Britain and India, and playing their part in investment, improvement in the social services areas in Africa. They see the difference where the China is more keen to invest and make money in the infrastructure of the nation, where India has invested into the health services, education, and other needs of the local area so that people can grow. That's the difference they see in Africa. So I think that our, what we call in Punjabi or Hindi, the seva attitude, yes, with our work ethics, with our business ethics, that we contribute to the well-being of the wider society rather than the individuals in that. So that is also the plus point which Britain also recognized. People living in Britain, maybe the non-Asians or non-Indians, also recognize that India's role in the developing countries and in the poor nations, and now in the vaccine also provided another way of showing that gesture. I think that is the plus point recognized by the rest of the world, that this is the role model. This is what the economic model we need to look at, which is the investment with service.
Yes. So thank you, sir. I mean, you have, from a bus conductor, you have become a MP. A tea vendor has become the prime minister of the country. I mean, this is strong democracy, right? Something that both the countries are etched in, that kind of democracy that allows a free play for anyone and everyone without any bias. I think that pays great tribute to both the countries. We did take one question we took which came from the chat box. Let's take a direct question. And this direct question is coming to you again from London. Mr. Prabhakar Kaza would like to ask a question. Good morning, Mr. Kaza. Unmute yourself
Good morning.
and ask a question.
Yeah, thank you for hosting this particular event, KK. Nice to see all old friends with great insights and sharing their experiences and their past. My only question for the last 2 decades in UK has been that we do keep talking about shared history, values. We talk about common language, English. We talk about Commonwealth. We talk about cricket. 1.5 million Indians and of Indian origin in UK. And right now we are 5 and 6 in GDP ranking. My only question has been, why is it that India does not figure in the top 10 trading partners of UK? Any particular reason for this, or would like to have the insight of the panelists?
Anyone like to go for this?
I think that is a question for Chandru Iyer, because he is the one.
Chandru, yes. I was looking at Chandru. You have any thoughts on that?
I think the thing is that UK has got a lot of opportunities to look at from an Indian perspective, not just from India point of view, but from some of the other East Asian countries or South Asian countries in terms of doing business together and looking at making the most of those opportunities and getting to that magic number in terms of being seen as the preferred trading partner and coming into the top 10 in terms of the relationship between the two countries. But I think if you have to look at it from the perspective of from a UK perspective, one of the key things has always been that UK has always had such a big, you can almost call it a domestic market for them, the EU market on one side across the channel. So there was always a thing of, okay, why do you want to go very far in terms of doing business when you can do with such a big market like the EU? So there has always been that big, almost like captive market, you can say, for the UK and the UK businesses. So that has been on one side. And on the other side, we call it across the pond, the US market has always been also very close to the UK. So you have got almost like 2 big markets, the whole EU on one side and the US on the other side, which has always been very close to the UK. And that's why you'd see that those 2 geographies have done a lot of business with the UK. And so if you look at the trading partnership numbers, they always figure in the top 5, leave alone the top 10. And that's where India has had a lot of catching up to do. But as I said, I'm very, very optimistic, very hopeful that in the post-Brexit world, when the EU relationship takes a new dimension altogether. And sorry, Prabhakar.
Anyway, let me add one more thing. The fault lies with India also. India was never a user-friendly country. We were very, very allergic to imported product and allowing foreign companies to come and invest. So ever since India has opened up, it has opened up opportunities for investment from other countries as well. So therefore, it is not just that, as a businessman, and you will always agree that when you go for exam, you deal with the easy question first. You leave the difficult to the last. I, being Indian, left India to the last. Because I have a limited time. I can be breaking my head against a brick wall because the bureaucracy, the red tape, the people are so irresponsible. They do not understand that somebody's livelihood is at stake on that container, is lying there rotting. I'll do this inspection, I'll do this inspection. I'm sorry to say, but we are penny wise, pound foolish. We stop people coming into India. We stop them from realizing the size of the market in India so that they can move their production into India to get benefit from all these local things. So therefore, now I salute the present government. They are putting things right. Technology has played a lot of important role. Everything is online and things are moving smoothly. Travel is very, you remember those days when we had to wait and the guy used to really take time to, now it's all, things have changed now. I think we must look forward to the future because, that's why people did not bother with India. It was so difficult. They went to where the market was easy. They could do business easily. But again, Indian government today is proactively looking for businesses. They're doing business partnership with Japan, Korea. I mean, Samsung is in India now, making handphone. There will be, and apples are coming for their production. So I think past is a gone history. We have learned from the past to make our future, and the future is very bright. I'm very optimistic. The government is doing so well. Our program, road building, railway program, solar panel program, clean energy. We are at the world leader now, even with the COVID. We are the fourth or the fifth country to produce a vaccine. Yeah, that in 200 countries, India to be one of the major fighting the COVID is a credit to our scientists, doctors, and engineers that we are now at the forefront. And people are taking notice. People want to do trade agreement. It speaks volumes about the present government that they have opened the door for people to come.
And I think the ease of doing business in India, that's also been a big factor to say that the British companies are looking at India a lot more favorably now. So that has helped. And also the way the Indian government is looking at the whole FDI landscape and bringing about some radical changes in terms of opening up some sectors which were so far had limited investment opportunities. So like, for example, the insurance sector, I think that's something that the UK insurance sector will be looking at quite interestingly. So I think, as going back to Lord Ranger's point about looking at the future, I think all those factors put together is that, India and UK have not been in the top 10 trading partnership relationship, but I think the future is quite hopeful.
Okay.
Right. KK, I know that politicians normally try to be dominating. I'm not trying to dominate. I just want to add. I think Chandru, Iyer will agree with me. The recent report they produced has indicated very positively in that the future relationship. But I disagree with my friends that India is now doing well. But if you look at the history and the growth and the development in the history and the political reasons in those days, if you look at China, Russia, Sri Lanka around, then 4 wars India has to go through. These are all the stoppages in our growth. And it took longer. And it has not started just now. It started when Rajiv Gandhi, I'm saying as a student of politics and history, that Rajiv Gandhi, Manmohan Singh ji, then Vajpayee ji, and now Modi ji is coming through that situation where they brought the to India into the 21st century rather than in the 20th century or 19th century. So it's the development and the current market in the world, economic mode in the world is that coming together, cooperation, not inward looking, outward looking, working in partnership, looking at the development in the not only in your own area, but in the rest of the world as well. So that is the natural growth. Remember, though we are not on the top 10, but remember, the Britain has invited the Prime Minister of India to come to the next G7 conference, where they will be part and parcel of that. So it means there is a recognition of India growing, recognition of the political stability in there, recognition of the democratic values we promote. So that's where I think that India is coming on the top 10 rather than not recognized. I recognize India as one of the top 10 leaders of the world in economic and social factors.
Excellent. Great. Let's take another question. The question from our media person, Krishna Tripathi. Krishna Tripathi, can you please introduce yourself and ask the question?
Good evening, sir. This is Krishna Tripathi from ETV Bharat. I just wanted to know panelists' views. In what way this Brexit will impact India-UK trade? Can we expect more investment as a result of it? And what should be the path that India should follow with regard to its trade relation with UK?
Come on, Chandru.
would like to.
Anyway,
I'll start and then I'll get Lord Ranger and Mr. Sharma to add in further. Yeah, in a post-Brexit world, I think our indications and our research analysis does say that the optimism is looking good for the future in terms of how you're seeing British companies looking to invest in India and Indian companies looking to do business in the UK. When we see Indian businesses looking at the UK market in a post-Brexit world, we are seeing that in terms of the technology sector, people movement is going to become a lot more easier, which is going to help the technology sector grow. And that's going to be one positive that will come out of the post-Brexit. UK is going to be more open in terms of applying the point-based system, which will help people with skills to come to the UK without having much issues. So that's going to help the technology sector. In terms of one of the challenge we are seeing is in terms of people, Indian companies which are in the product business or in the manufacturing sector. They will have to look at it a lot more carefully in terms of the need for them to have, say, bonded warehouses in the EU in a post-Brexit world. So there are some of the challenges that are coming through. But from a tech sector perspective, it is positive. And for us, for British companies looking at India, again, it's going to be quite positive, I would say, because all the changes that are coming in India that we spoke about on the last point, because Britain has to look at new trading partners and new trading relationships. And in a post-Brexit world, they will look at India a lot more favorably. And all that we have seen over the last 3 months is an absolute indication of that. I mean, the fact that Indian Prime Minister Boris Johnson's first visit outside the EU is to India says a lot about the relationship. And this visit would have happened in January if not for the COVID reasons. But better late than never. We're having British Prime Minister in India next month, so that is going to be a watershed movement for the relationships between the two countries. But also the preparation for that visit. So you have seen Liz Truss in India in February. Alok Sharma was there in early March for, of course, in his capacity as the Director General of COP26. We have, as we speak, Lord Tariq Ahmed is in India. He's in Bombay today, and he has had a very successful 5-day trip. And I understand that the UK Minister for Investment, Lord Jerry Grimstone, should be in India later this month. So all that is happening, which says a lot about what is happening in the post-Brexit world from a British perspective, is that Britain is looking at India very, very seriously. It's not as if they have not looked in the past, but I think the relationship is going to evolve, go to the next level. And that's why I'm quite optimistic and hopeful that the new world order, which will see the British-India relationship take it to the next level, we're going to see it much sooner than later.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Tripathi. Yeah, go ahead, sir. So you have a point.
Okay. The Brexit is good for India. I tell you why it's good for India. First of all, I don't want to upset my senior partner, Mr. Sharma. My prospect is slightly different for Brexit.
Yes.
Because I believe any country which cannot control its borders cannot control its destiny. If you do not know how many people are going to come into your house, you will not be able to cater for their needs. And if your economy is doing very well, you will attract a lot more migrants, from countries which are not doing so well. And we have seen nearly 5 million people have come to live in the United Kingdom since we joined the EU, but we haven't increased 5 million houses, or there's no provision for schools, hospitals, social services to take in the influx of so many people just coming. And then again, it pushes the wages down because people are ready to take on job for any price. So you damage your social structure. There's more racism, then people start resenting immigrants, and there's a lot more things. So with the Brexit, we now can bring people we need. And India is poised to supply the best doctor, the best engineer, best IT, and best teacher, you name it. We have abundance of supply. We can come on the point system. So there is no preference to the European community people as it was once. They could just walk in and just take a job, anything. Now there is a system where the people will have to demonstrate that they are worthy of the job. So that is number one with the Brexit, that we are now, a lot more Indians will come because they are highly motivated, highly experienced person. As you can see in America, they're running all the blue chip company. So we don't have a problem. We are a product of a secular and democratic country. We are taught to compete with one another. We are competing with people of various religion. We are not a religious country where we eliminate competition by using a religion card. In fact, diversity thrives in India. We believe that the diversity is India's strength. So that is number one. So there are a lot more people can come. Coming to the investment, always welcome. Investment is always welcome. If you are bringing money into a country, they will bend backward to accommodate you because you are bringing wealth, employment to this country. So therefore, there will be no problem for any country, anyone who wants to invest in Britain. They will be welcome, open arms, and doing business in the United Kingdom is much easier than anywhere else in the world, because you can get company registered in a day, you can get a telephone line within a week, you can have internet, you can have the banking system is one of the best, you have connection with the world. All the airlines, they come to London. So, and from here you can look at the world as your oyster. You can see, you can do a lot more sitting in United Kingdom. And I always recommend that any Indian company who wants to become a global player, they have to have a base in United Kingdom. And again, going to Europe is not difficult. You can go there, provided you have something people want to buy. As I said, there's no guarantee. If you're a free market and you don't have a product which fits their need, they will not buy because just you happen to be in the free trade area. So therefore, be the best, have the best product. If you have got a product which is a great product, competitive price, people will follow you. And if you've got a horrible product, badly priced, you will follow people. So the choice is yours, whether the product attracts the customer or you run after the customer. So, it's a very great opportunity give after Brexit. You can just do whatever you want in the United Kingdom, provided you have the qualification, provided you have the merit, and you have the finance to come and become an asset for this country, rather than just coming in and creating more unemployment.
Okay. So let's take a question on privatization, because there has been one privatization that has happened in the UK. So the Indian government is now planning to privatize some of the large public sector banks or any state-owned enterprises. They want to free them from the government issues on that. So similarly, in UK there was a parallel, the privatization of UK railways that had happened. But the current the surveys that are now going on shows that they actually want to re-nationalize railways. So on one hand, India is wanting to privatize, and here you have a survey. Of course, it's only a survey that says let's re-nationalize the railways. Could you all throw light on this? Where are we going on this?
Could I then take over? Because my political ideological commitment will be on the basis of that which Lord Rami Ranger may not have the same view. It's an economic cycle. If you look at how the changes comes into the economy, investment, and the social fabric of the society, people have noticed that in the privatization, there's a poor investment, poor people, those who wanted to make profits for themselves, then the investment improvements taken longer than when it is nationalized industry, where you can because it's not individual profit, it's the nation's profit. People can work together. And I always believed in the mixed economy. I'd always believed that that should be the partnership between the investors and the nation together. We need to look at what is the best for the majority of the people. There are the services which could go individually. There are the services like railway, aviation, and others, which is the national resource, need to be looked at the more beneficiary to the ordinary and everybody in the society rather than to the elite on the services. So that's where I think India's practice or now taking that on board to take the new dimension which Britain changed from the nationalized to the privatization. Let me see how successful they are. I always have my open mind on the services. I look at the individual services and see which is giving the benefit to the most rather than to the few.
Sure. Lord, would you have any comments on that?
Well, very simple. As Sharmaji said, I'm totally opposite because we have gone through this road before. When you start giving people jobs, regardless of their performance, the tendency they don't work as hard as they work. There's no incentive, whether they work 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, hardly over, he's getting the same pay. So, profit is a motivational factor. People work hard because they know they're going to get rewards. We had industry, we had strike after strike. People had so much power. It's not about I'm all right, Jack, that I have to look after myself. We have to look at the bigger picture that we have to compete with the best in the world. There was a time I remember the time when people never bought any UK cars. They were all Japanese cars, Datsun, Toyota, they were all, everybody, TVs were from abroad. You had no industry left in UK because they all, British never bought British product. There was a coal miner strike. I remember a friend who used to work for Ford factory. And I used to say, how is the job? He said, not more money, but we are always on strike. So therefore money is not.
Yes.
So therefore, I think we should allow people to be able to compete, have industries which can compete, but there are certain industries which we need to manage by the government because there is a national interest in them, like defense, we can't, or policing or the law and order, we can't subcontract, but there are certain, it's very important that nobody, for example, I'm running a business, business is game of people. The biggest asset I have is people. Money does not make money. People make money. So therefore, if I don't look after my staff, don't look after my ambassadors, I can't do it alone, everything. So therefore, it is really fallacy to think that people can exploit workers. If they have to have a flourishing company, they will have to pay them well. They have to treat them well. I treat my staff very well and I train them well because I know without them, there'll be nothing. So, but at the same time, if they knew that they could come in, I remember British Airways guy, he used to work for British Airways before it became privatized. Guy used to sit and play cards with us. He said, oh, my friend will clock me in. I will be getting paid. So the system is abused when people have nothing to worry about, whether the company goes down the tube, I'm going to get paid. Somebody has to be accountable. Somebody has to be responsible for the survival of the companies. Otherwise, there'll be jungle rule.
It's so good.
Britain became sick man of Europe. We were known as the sick man of Europe. There were no electricity for 3 days. We were on 3 days a week. Yeah, a first world country, one of the richest country, they were no have energy to run your country. The dead bodies were lying on the streets because there were no diggers to dig. That was the power of giving people, people with limited vision. And if you give them so much responsibility, they might use it the wrong way. And, we cannot have, I'm all right, Jack approach. We have to look at the complete picture of the nation. we don't have the money, we cannot pay for the world-class social services. Today, Britain is at the forefront of COVID vaccine rollout program. Yes, why? Because we have the money to buy those vaccinations. 100 million vaccinations are on order, and the population is 65 million. That shows what, if you have the wealth, you can look after your citizen, you can give them good services.
Thank you. This is the beauty of democracy in the two countries, right? You can be on the same show and have divergent opinion. It's fine. You know, that's the way democracy will thrive. Ladies and we have come to the end of the 1 hour, 1.5 hour show, and we still have a lot to talk, but we cannot go on. So we respect everyone's time. So let's do a quick wind up of the show, and I would request Mr. Sharma just give us a final 2 lines or 3 lines on this UK India relationship.
My view on India and British relationship or UK relationships are that India is a 21st century nation, will lead the world. Only we have to build the trust and the confidence of those who are going to India to invest and promote, both sides. And it's not one-way route. It's a Britain investing in India, India investing in Britain. Then the products and the profits taken to the rest of the developing countries to support them. So I see very positive outcome from this partnership between Britain and India for the 21st century.
Thank you. Lord Ranger, your
partnership between United Kingdom and India is a necessity, not a choice, because they both need each other to grow their economies. Before you can secure the world, you have to secure yourself. You know, nobody can help others if they are struggling themselves. So therefore, first of all, by linking with each other, by making their economies very strong, they can then look after the developing country. As Sharma ji said, it is a responsibility for all these countries to make sure that nobody is left behind in this world. So therefore, we have to make sure that our wealth provides some relief to those people who are struggling without basic amenities. So therefore, I'm optimistic it will happen, and there will be a positive effect globally. Globally, I can tell you, and because we have neglected Commonwealth for far too long, and Commonwealth with whom we have historical link, we have so much common that we have, as I said, we have fought wars together for world freedom. So I think the Commonwealth is a country we should be really developing because there is a growth in these countries, and I'm very optimistic. So it's a necessity, not a choice anymore.
Okay, Chandru, from you, final words.
Sorry. Yeah, sure. I could have just stopped and said ditto, and that could have been the end of it. But yeah, absolutely agree with both Mr. Sharma and my seniors, Lord Ranger. Very, very optimistic and positive about the relationship. India and UK, as we see from our reports, have done exceedingly well on both sides of the corridor. And then the third element of that, which is the Indian diaspora in the UK, is another element which has done wonderfully well. So you bring all these 3 key elements together: British investments, Indian investments, and the Indian diaspora, and you got the perfect recipe for a relationship that is going to be strategic in nature, a sustainable relationship, and a relationship for the future. And that relationship is good. That all those essential components is going to put together us on the right roadmap of that 100 billion number that we're talking about much before 2030. So yeah, very, very optimistic about it.
Thank you, Chandru. So ladies and gentlemen, as you see, we have the perfect recipe. Now it's all about execution, the way we want to get this going. And I think that will lead a very, very strong relationship can develop within India and UK. We look forward to Prime Minister Boris Johnson's visit to India. and let's see how it goes from there. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to wind up today's show. Thank you very much for being with us. Please join me in thanking Lord Rami Ranger, Mr. Virender Sharma, and Chandru Iyer for coming and spending time with us. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for coming and spending time with us, and look forward to all of you all in some other show. Good day. Have a nice day. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.